What is going on, Panthers fans? The tension in Charlotte is reaching a boiling point, and we need to talk about the future of our quarterback room right now. There is a massive decision looming that could change the entire direction of this franchise. While our current starter faces a definitive prove-it season, new reports are already linking us to a high-profile prospect who could be his successor. Are we looking at a complete shift in leadership under center? Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below, because you won't want to miss what is coming next. Bryce Young enters the 2026 season carrying the weight of an entire franchise on his shoulders, facing more pressure than perhaps any other quarterback across the National Football League. The Carolina Panthers have made it clear that this campaign is the defining moment for his future, as he fights to prove he is the undisputed long-term solution for the team. Instead of rushing into a multi-year extension, which could have been valued at approximately $35 million annually, the Panthers opted to exercise his fifth-year option. This strategic decision effectively forces a high-stakes prove-it year for the signal caller. The front office is clearly waiting for tangible results before committing long-term resources, meaning Young must show drastic improvement to secure his position. Every snap this season acts as an evaluation of his capability to lead this roster. The reality is that the margin for error has vanished, and the expectations are higher than ever before in his professional career. While he has demonstrated flashes of potential, the league demands consistency from the most important position on the field. The organization has provided him with the stage, but the performance is entirely up to him. As he prepares for the challenges ahead, the entire fan base is watching closely, hoping to see the spark that justifies the investment the Panthers made in his draft selection. It is a defining chapter for both the player and the team, where individual performance directly dictates the path forward for the entire organization. Bryce Young is acutely aware that this is his window to solidify his role as the face of the franchise. To truly turn the tide and silence the skeptics, he must remain focused, determined, and prepared to keep pounding with everything he has throughout the season. The urgency surrounding Bryce Young is amplified by the sheer volume of talent appearing in the upcoming college prospect pipeline. Analysts are already identifying the next wave of passers who could theoretically replace current starters if teams do not see significant progress. One such prospect, LaNorris Sellers from South Carolina, has been linked to the Panthers in early projections. If the team finds themselves selecting 11th in the next draft, it would signal that Bryce Young failed to take the necessary steps to secure his future as the long-term quarterback in Carolina. This potential connection to LaNorris Sellers is not just speculative draft chatter. It represents a tangible reality for the franchise if the current plan fails to yield results. A high draft pick is a stark indicator of a season that did not go as intended, and the team is certainly monitoring all avenues to ensure long-term stability. The presence of such a talented prospect like LaNorris Sellers forces the conversation toward what might happen if the current quarterback does not meet the necessary benchmarks. For Bryce Young, this is a direct external pressure that mirrors the internal performance metrics he is being judged against daily. The comparison between the veteran and the rising college star is inevitable, especially when the goal is to stabilize the quarterback position for the next decade. If the team occupies a draft spot that allows them to select a high-caliber passer, the front office will undoubtedly be forced to evaluate if moving on from Bryce Young is the most effective path forward for the organization. This dynamic adds a layer of intensity to every game, as the team must balance its faith in the current starter with the necessity of planning for all possible future scenarios. Why does this situation matter so much for the Panthers in 2026? It matters because the quarterback position dictates the entire trajectory of the team's offensive identity and overall win-loss record. Bryce Young is at a crossroads. His ability to process defenses, read coverages effectively, and deliver the ball with precision will either sustain his role or open the door for a new era under center. Currently, the team is looking for a leader who can minimize mistakes and maximize production in key situations, which is exactly why this year is the ultimate test. If Bryce Young cannot elevate his play, the roster's potential remains capped, leading to the kind of draft positioning that brings players like LaNorris Sellers into the spotlight. The depth of this year's draft class makes the evaluation of Bryce Young even more critical, as the opportunity cost of sticking with a struggling quarterback is incredibly high. The Panthers need their starter to keep them competitive in the NFC South, and any failure to do so will naturally push the team toward exploring replacements. This is not merely about one player. It is about the structural integrity of the team's long-term plan. When a team has a quarterback under this level of scrutiny, every touchdown, every interception, and every late-game drive is scrutinized as evidence of his development. Bryce Young is the current centerpiece of this debate, and his performance will dictate whether the team spends its next major draft asset on a successor or focuses on surrounding him with more weapons. It is the most significant storyline because it addresses the most vital piece of the puzzle, and there is no room for ambiguity or hesitation when the season begins. LaNorris Sellers stands out as a unique prospect, presenting athletic traits that are undeniably enticing for teams seeking a mobile, versatile playmaker. Standing at 6'3" and weighing roughly 240 pounds, he is frequently compared to elite rushing threats like Jalen Hurts or Cam Newton. His ability to act as a tank in short yardage situations while possessing game-changing speed makes him a tantalizing option for any franchise looking to rebuild or upgrade their offensive engine. However, the risk associated with LaNorris Sellers is just as significant as his potential. Critics point to his lack of consistency as a pure passer and his current struggles with reading complex defensive coverages under pressure. While his physical gifts are elite, his transition to the professional level will rely heavily on whether he can master the mental aspect of the game. He opted to return to South Carolina for one more year to refine these skills and boost his draft stock, hoping to leave the collegiate level on a high note. For the Panthers, the contrast between the prospect and their current starter is clear. Bryce Young currently holds the advantage in terms of passing mechanics and experience, but LaNorris Sellers brings a different dimension of athleticism. The team must weigh whether the refinement of Bryce Young is a more reliable investment than the raw upside of a prospect like Sellers. This ongoing evaluation serves as the backdrop for the entire 2026 season, keeping the focus squarely on the performance of the starter. If Bryce Young cannot demonstrate that he is the more effective passer and the more consistent leader, the physical allure of a prospect like LaNorris Sellers will only grow louder as the draft approaches next year. The path forward for Bryce Young is straightforward, even if the execution remains a daunting task. He is not perfect, but he possesses the opportunity to silence all external noise by leading the Carolina Panthers to the top of the NFC South. By increasing his passing yards and touchdown totals, he can force the front office to reconsider any alternative plans. The power to keep his job and establish himself as the franchise cornerstone rests entirely in his own hands during the 2026 season. If he successfully manages the offense and proves his development, the discussions regarding replacements like LaNorris Sellers will naturally fade into the background. However, if he continues to struggle with consistency, the conversation regarding the next draft class will only intensify as the weeks progress. The decision to exercise his fifth-year option has provided a bridge, but it is not a long-term guarantee of his status. This is the time for him to showcase the skills that made him a high-profile selection in the first place. Whether he manages to keep the team atop the division or finds himself fighting to stay in the lineup, his progress will be the most discussed topic in the league. The challenge is immense, but it is also the standard expectation for an NFL quarterback tasked with leading an organization to success. As the season unfolds, everyone associated with the Panthers will be watching to see if he can meet these high standards and prove that he is indeed the answer they were looking for. With the weight of the organization on his back, the mandate for the quarterback is clear: step up, perform under pressure, and secure a future for himself in Carolina.